There's been a lot of discussion recently on the current state of Uzi's career, and there's a lot of hate going on towards it that I honestly don't agree with. Despite recent things going on with Pink Tape and his albums, you could argue that maybe they're debatable, but they're not terrible. Maybe they're not his best or the top of his discography, but they're not terrible either. Literally, there's some experimental songs on Pink Tape, like Werewolf. Let me look at the track list again. It's really good though. It's actually honestly good, and honestly he's given us a lot on that project. Old Uzi, new Uzi, where things like Werewolf. I know people maybe weren't feeling CS, maybe Fire Alarm, and even that's like old Uzi. Nakamura. The end was cool, but just certain songs like that people had issues with. And I get it. Like maybe for a longer album, we do have to take them into account. So it's like some people liked them, a lot of people didn't. But honestly, if we really look at the rest of the track list, it's pretty good, a pretty solid project. And really, we get highlights, like the best of Uzi. I think right now he's probably at his peak. If we think about it, he's really writing songs, really trying to structure things out. And granted, there was a rawness that came when he used to make music and just go in and say whatever. But I find it now that him trying to really make songs with depth, it's growth. And he's just skilled naturally, so it's gonna sound good. I think moments like Patience or Rehab, Days Come and Go, even All Alone, Mama I'm Sorry. Even if we think about it, Died and Came Back, it's basically like a diss song. Flooded the Face. It's like a lot of things, or even moments in Suicide Doors where he's just acknowledging it. It's just how he's displaying it. He's not the greatest lyricist, but I think that the way he raps isn't conventional. And maybe some people think it is now, but it's only because he started the style. But that's something I'm gonna get into. But it's just how he displays it. It's like, okay, he leans into sonics more and the feelings more. But the lyrics are also there. Like we see moments of Suicide Doors and Flooded Face is like just triumphant and just braggadocious, I don't care, but also acknowledging flaws and things that people have put against him. And I just think overall it's a good project. I think that it got a lot of hate, and I found a lot of people just like, oh yeah, it was here and gone. But it's still streaming pretty well. And I think Uzi has such a diverse fan base that it's like he's not gonna please everyone. That's just not gonna happen. And like, to be very honest, like it's good. It's really good. It's really good moments on there. It's just you could argue that it's so long. It's almost 30 songs. I get that. But taking it for what it is, like you can find anywhere from 5 to 8, maybe even 10 songs that you're like, yeah, this is great, and listen to. Literally, you could even argue that from Flooded the Face to literally All Alone, 13 songs, it's really no skips. Endless Fashion grew on me. It's no skips for real. And Uzi's just great. I think going into the next thing, a lot of people also compared him to Cardi. And I have a lot to say about Cardi for real. I actually enjoy his music a lot and grew up listening to him. And he's great for what he does, but there's a lot of flaws in smokes and mirrors, really smoke and mirrors when it comes to him. And I don't know, I'm really torn right now when it comes to him, but it's like, at the end of the day, what Uzi can do, Cardi can't do, and what Cardi does, Uzi can do. So all of the like, oh, he sounds like Cardi, he's doing the Cardi thing, I think it's really just a demonstration. I also think it's probably a mix knowing him. I think it's a mix of just like, oh, I can do that too. Y'all are comparing me to him, I can do that too. But also, it seems to be that he's friends with them still. Even if not him directly, people in his camp like Ken and Lonely. And it's like inspiration. You're around people, stuff is gonna rub off on you. There's probably things that they're doing. Actually, there's a lot of things that they do that is from him, whether directly or indirectly. And so it's stupid to me because even if we were to take out Eternal Take, even if we were to take out Pink Tape, even the collab tape with Future, whatever, you want to argue like those aren't that great, fine. I could argue that, yeah, those aren't the best things in his catalog. They're still good, doing great, and very great memorable moments that I still listen to this day. I mean, Pink Tape literally just dropped 2023, and there's stuff off of EA and EA Deluxe, and the collab tape with Future, really the deluxe version. I feel like the original version was more Future style, and the deluxe sounded more like Uzi-esque stuff. There's a lot of great songs on it that that's literally still hold up to this day, and I like listening to. But let's just be honest, not just Cardi, but everyone. Uzi is different. In his class and from his era, there's nobody still to this day that's like touching him or have come close to. The only person that we could argue really is X. And he passed, and we didn't get to see the full vision of what he had planned and in store for like the world and his like career, art, all of that stuff. There's nobody like we could go. Nobody has dropped anything that's even close to Love Is Rage. It's not even close. Maybe you could argue with Cardi, there's some leaks or like moments on Die Lit that reaches that realm, but it's like, okay, you reached the realm, but then it's like, did you soar and reach the tops of that realm? And it's like, the things Uzi has done is just incredible. Like, really being honest, like, I know a lot of people, they say stuff like blazing, whatever, but like, let's really, really sit there and deconstruct, like, no bias, and really look at the bodies of works that he has. Love Is Rage, Versus the World, Perfect Love Tape, Love Is Rage 2. These are classic projects. They're amazing. You have moments on there like, I won't even do those. You have moments like Right Now, Moist, All My Chains, Belly, With My Crew, /1987, New York Nights at 21, Ballin' to the End, Paradise, Enemies, and that's like pretty much half the tape, if not 75% of it. And these are classic songs, different styles that don't sound like anybody else. The only thing that you could argue is the Thug inspiration, but even that, I could argue that Uzi at that time went into his own realm and has his own unique voice that you don't hear it anywhere. There's been people and moments where someone's kind of sounded like Uzi, but let's be honest, like, only Uzi could really do Uzi. It's Uzi. He has a very unique, raspy voice, and it's like you have tones of like R&B, pop, electronic, just super aggressive, like rap, trap stuff. Like, I hate saying stuff like that, but it's just like, and then there's fusions. It's like songs transitioning into other songs, and it's really amazing. It's eclectic. And to think that in 2015 he dropped that. Excuse me. It's really crazy. It's really, 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 really crazy. Then if we go to Versus the World, I personally think this is his best project. I think he was happy. I think it's completely him. And this really doesn't sound like anybody else. And honestly, like, it inspired a lot more than what we think. Even more than Versus the World. Not Versus, I said Versus the World. That's what I'm talking about now. Love Is Rage 2. This is like a very, very, very pivotal project in my opinion. Yeah, moments like High Roller, Canadian Goose, like everyone knows Money Longer and P's and Q's, Grab the Wheel, You Was Right, Team Rocket, Scott and Ramona. This type of, it's almost like infectious. Like, you hear the melodies and they just get stuck in your head, whether it's like his singing or the actual beats. And I think the styles that he created on this, which I'm gonna get into in a moment, still to this day people are trying to replicate, whether they know it or not. And the same thing goes for the Perfect Love tape. I think he was really having fun on here. I think there's a lot of moments of him like rapping more. When you look at Love is Rage 1, it's a mix. There's a lot of melodic singing stuff, and then there's a lot of rapping. Then I think Versus the World, he honed in more on the singing. And the Perfect Love tape, there is singing moments. You're always gonna get singing and melodic stuff with Uzi, but I feel like he leaned more into the rapping. Crazy. It's really good. And then we have the cult classic and like band favorite of a lot of people, Love is Rage 2, which we don't even have to really get into this project. Everybody's pretty much heard it. It's great. It's a classic. And still now to this day, you could play it anytime. And it's still better than a lot of music that comes out now, which is what I wanted to touch on next and kind of what I started with. But I don't think there's anybody in Uzi's class, and even with classes and eras that have come afterwards, with anybody that has dropped not even in the same ballpark of any of that, any of these projects that I've dropped, any of those projects that I named from him. And this isn't even counting the singles and stuff either. This could all drop now and people would literally lose their minds, just like back then. And I think it was like he had more freedom and he was just dropping whenever. Okay, I want to put this out. Okay, I want to put that out. He put out so much music. And that's why it's also like, I know he's talked about retiring. It's like, he could do that. It's so much music. He could have retired after Love is Rage 2. He could have did anything. And it'd be fine. He has the collab tape with Gucci Mane. There's some really good stuff on there. YSL, EXO Tour Life originally was just a random SoundCloud single he just put out. And people don't even talk about like the original mix is like completely different than the final mix what we got. Like he just put it out and it blew up so much. And if you know, it's just like they changed the mixes on it. Which they did the same thing on Money Longer. Boring, Love Scars, Miss Cleo, Woke Up Thankful, Grow Up, Ready, Set, Go, Buy It, Stole Your Love, Sub-Zero, Left, Right, He Did It, So Hit. Yeah, and like I said, Money Longer as well. The mix on that, like when they originally dropped, it was just like some picture with the Kardashians taking a selfie, and the mix was completely different. I kind of like the original mixes because they're raw, and it just knocks so. But that's a whole nother, that's just personal take, honestly. And even with that, it's like he was just releasing music and he was free. Left Right seemed to be the main single because it was anticipated. It was called Canon before that as a leak. There used to be that tape on Spinrilla with like all of the Uzi songs, and it was on there, and just like a different version, rougher, not mixing as like tamed as the final version, but it just so happened to be that Money Longer just blew up. And I think the version originally too that got put up was a radio rip. There was a lot of radio rips at that time. Radio was still relevant, and people were just getting stuff played on there. And I think it's because he was signed to Don Cannon and DJ Drama. They were plugging him in and stuff like that, getting him on radio, getting the plays, and it'd be like, oh, this Uzi exclusive, and they would just rip it, re-upload it to SoundCloud. But just speaking on it, it's just like now you have so many people biting the style, which isn't a bad thing. It's actually great that he influenced so much, but I think it's a bad thing when we tend to forget it, try to rewrite history and paint the picture differently to what it actually is. Everything from like the hyper pop, even stuff with Plug and B, a lot of those artists, maybe not on the production side of it, but definitely on the rapping side or like singing melodic side, a lot of people listen to Uzi, was inspired to do that. Because if you think about it, it's like there was Plug music coming out when Uzi was dropping all those projects that I named. But nobody was really doing auto-tune. There was a couple people like, what's his name? Nebu Kinza. or however you say it. I don't want to butcher his name. It's no disrespect, but stuff like that. But I mean, like really, like honing in, like, oh, this is a style, we're doing it. Very rare. Cardi did it a couple times with auto tune, but it wasn't like love songs, really like R&B-esque stuff. Stuff like Rewind Raps, Autumn, Summers, all of those artists, Texaco, like we know that like their influences come from Uzi. Not saying that there isn't influences from other people either, but he's just so huge at that time that it makes sense, and even from stuff posted by them, and you can just tell. Then we go into, like I said, the hyperpop style. That is, we don't even really have to dive into that. And even when we go into stuff like I guess what you would consider the Opium style, Cardi, Lone, all of them. Now, not everything they do is from Uzi. Of course, they have certain signature styles that are them. But there's a lot of stuff that he has influenced, to the point where their camp of producers that they work with, for the most part, working on Dying. They have other producers too, but it's like that sound is Uzi's. Those were originally his producers. Then you have moments where it's like, you know, and it makes sense. Cardi was always Uzi's little brother, with him everywhere. Uzi's helping put Cardi on, doing songs together, everything. Of course you're gonna be influenced. And when you see and look back at what Uzi was on at that time, it was great. And still, I think even now, if he was always on back then, now, and it was dropping right now, it's just too pivotal. Like that into 2017 into 2018 run he was at peak. Still, I haven't seen much of anything. Like people always joke, and it's like mad stuff like Aura or like whatever, like is like what he was on at that time was different. Still now, I think people are replicating it or trying to. Even moments when it's like I look at the 2024 music video with Cardi, the big upside down chains and like the whole leather fits and stuff like that, and just like walking around shooting the video and stuff. It's like people remember the Run It Up music video on the OGG DVD. It's just like, I wouldn't say it's copy and paste, but you could see the influence in it. Just to the style, all the face piercings and tattoos and everything, like to a T. Like he started stuff, and I still think honestly he did it the best, in my opinion. I think the thing with Uzi is just like he has the charisma. Like a lot of people do smoke and mirrors and they do little extra stuff or try to be mysterious or whatever to like make the facade of like I'm him or like build hype. But Uzi just walks out, and it's just like the way he carries himself is just different. And you see it even with, I mean, it's all speculation and just fan stuff, whatever, but we do know on record a lot of times where Cardi was working with Uzi's producer, from Molly Raw to Don Cannon, things like that. And so we know on record for a long time he's been trying to tap into that sound and that style. So it's like you're building, and I'm always for people taking things and elevating it. I think that's important. That's why I said even in the beginning, I don't think it's a bad thing that people take from Uzi. I think it's great. I just think it's an issue when we don't give him the flowers and the justice, or it's just everything he deserves, like, you know, is bad. He should be heralded. He's an inspiration. If Uzi, this is the thing, Uzi's alive right now, and I hate to talk like this, and I pray that nothing ever happens to him. He lives a full life and everything. It's just that, you know, they don't appreciate you until you're gone. If Uzi was to pass right now, everybody, the whole narrative would change. Everybody in there, like, he would be the best. He would literally be the best. This man has got diamond records under his belt, bro. Bunch of #1 albums. And this is off of like underground music, if you get what I'm saying. Like, you could argue that Uzi is mainstream, but he never was on some like mainstream sound. Like, he always kept the sound and things that got him to where he got him to. He never switched up. It's only now that he's experimented, which I think is rightfully so, like, let him experiment. You know what I'm saying? He wants to try different things, do different things. He's always been like that, changing his style up. Maybe physically, but sonically it would be the same. Maybe he would just evolve like the signature Uzi sounds that he created, but now it's bled into the music. We have moments where he wants to try different things. And even I could argue he's kind of always did stuff like that. I think things like Up and Downers, Don't Gas Him. It's so many Uzi songs where it's like you see that he's always like 6-minute freestyle, just features. The list goes on. The list goes on. Like there's a lot of stuff Uzi's been trying and been doing, whether we accept it or not. And so I just think that like, why do we beat up on him and give him such a hard time? And this whole like rewriting history, he's washed, he's this, he's that. We've heard even from EA, Pink Tape, and now even the Barter 16 little stint. I wish that he dropped that because it was definitely a lot. I heard that it leaked and I never listened to the leaked version, but from the snippets I heard, which is what I'm going into, it's great. I think really Uzi's issue isn't that he doesn't make good music or anything like that. I think the issue is that the team around him, I think that when he picks the songs now, I don't know what the process or who picks the songs. I don't know if it's always been him that picks the songs, but I think now it's just like he doesn't know what to pick. He probably, like, if you were in the studio with him, it's probably so many songs that, oh, these are hits, these are amazing, these are next level. We never heard anything like this before, but it's just the issue of him picking the right song. And I think that's what it is, because you find it that on EA, Pink Tape, whatever, it's great moments, like really, really, really good highs. But the issue is there's also really low lows. And that's because of the sequencing and just picking different songs and stuff like that. So I don't think that he's washed. And I feel really bad for him because I really believe I think he's better than he's ever been before. And even with, it seems like he's like changing his style up. Not sonically, but let's just say looks-wise and artistic direction. He changes it up so fast. Like he's always done that, but it's been faster than ever. And I just think it's like, you know, I don't want to say he's insecure, but even just looking at him recently and him being more transparent, I think he does acknowledge things and pays attention to what the people want or what's going on. So he's like trying to find the right style and the right thing to please people. I think that's even with the whole thing of like, oh, Love is Rage 3, I'm retiring, I just want to be normal, because it's like, it's a lot. It probably weighs down on a person. And someone of that stature and that height is probably so much pressure to live up to the name, live up to the hype, the things that he's accomplished and the things that he's done. His other counterparts, like, they're just now starting to get to that level of dominance and respect, but he always had it. This is a guy who just came in the game hot. Everything he drops is gold, never misses. Like his counterparts, like they all have good discographies, but to the level of like what Uzi has done, it's just different. It's just different. And they're just now starting to get into that realm, but he's always been there. It's like a lone king. You know what I'm saying? Where he's just at the top of his class for years. And even for people to get to that point, it's like a lot of people had to use his style, use his sounds, take from him to get there, rather than finding it in themselves and honing what they already had to become themselves. Like, you know, like we always draw from each other. Iron sharpens iron, that's great, but a lot of people have like bit, and that's fine. But when we rewrite stuff or we try to act in front like that's not the case, like, oh, he's not this or he's not that or he didn't do this or he didn't do that, I think we have issues. I think there's a lot of issues with that. And I'm very excited for Love is Rage 3. He just recently dropped the Red Moon single, and it was good. I think it was a great single. I think it was different. And like I said, you're starting to see like he's really taking songwriting serious. The production's great, the mixing's great, everything. And like, even I was talking to a friend, my friend Bully Bully Antlers, and he was talking about how, like, you know, there's parts and stuff, like even the messaging at the end, like love doesn't exist, but I could do anything, so I'll recreate it, whatever it said. And, you know, his stuff, it seemed like cringe, like he's crying and all of that, but then it's like, that's how you know it's real. Like when someone is like cringy, it's not always a bad thing, because they're really being them. And it's almost like unsettling, like, why are you being yourself? I think we have this thing nowadays in society. I'll probably talk about that in a future vlog or video or whatever, but everybody wants to be cool. Everyone's just trying to be cool. Everyone's trying to be different, but nobody wants to be themselves. I feel like the true way to be different is to be yourself, because like every single person is unique. You have your own fingerprint, your own DNA makeup, your own chemical makeup, even if it's similar to like a siblings or whatever, a family member, bloodline, relative, whatever. Your exact code, chemical makeup, fingerprints, everything is you. There's always differences. You're you, so why not hone into that? We do come up in different environments and different things where we have similarities and things like that to other people, and it's good to build synergy is always a great thing as well. But I think that we all have like a God-given individuality, forgive me, that we should lean into. And I just find that with Uzi, one thing that you can give him credit for is always that. And I think it's just now, I don't even want to call it a midlife or early life crisis, but it's just now that I find him, like, it seems to be like he's lost, like trying to find himself, even cutting all his hair off, and like, you know, he's like on some Philly type time, trying to be himself. He's just trying to find it, like, okay, well, let me go back to my roots. Maybe this is me. And it's just like, it's all you. It's like, we're not a character, this thing of like people being characters or caricatures. It's like, no, bro, we're all everything. It's like you have emotions, right? You can be happy, you can be sad, depressed. I don't want to say depressed, but anxious or excited, whatever. Like, it's a plethora. It's like so many different emotions. It's the same thing with a person. It's like we're not one-dimensional characters. I think our principles and values is the core that stands the same. Statues that are in us that doesn't change, but you experience things in life and you go through different eras and we evolve. We're not always the same person. So for him, it's like to be in this place where it's like a transition. It's like getting like called out for it, or people like, you're not this anymore, you're not that, or we want this or we want that. And it's like, he's just trying to be himself and trying to find himself, you know what I'm saying? And even you find it where it's like, I think he knows that he birthed a lot of stuff, but then even I seen the little interview thing with Act Blog, and then understanding certain songs and the stories that he's telling on Pink Tape. Pink Tape is great because it's like, there's a story on it of like real life, of you see it, even with his Rolling Loud performances and stuff like that, where he's in the wheelchair and it's all the medication and stuff like that. Like everything he's been telling the story of just how, like, you know, he's at the highest peak. Everything. What do you say on Love is Rage 2? Yeah, this baby life, it'll eat you up inside. It's a game. I don't put my feelings to the side. Like all of that, like. And I ain't gonna lie, I got money and the power. I ain't gonna lie, I got money. Like all of that stuff, right? And you see the full totality of it, the effects of it. You see Flooded the Face into like Suicide Doors and Amped Up, where he's just like losing his mind. Like he's just like, and it's funny because it's like leading off of that, they Flooded the Face is like Love is Rage 2. I don't want to say throwaway, but it was supposed to be on there. And that like led to the level that he's at. You get what I'm saying? So for him to start the album, it's almost like a continuation of the story. Then you just find him, it's like all these crazy ad-libs and screaming. He's just saying all these wild bars, and like he's addressing certain things. He's angry, aggressive. And then like you just see him starting to crash out. You have songs like Spin Again and Died and Came Back. These almost like, even with Died and Came Back, like almost a diss record. I'm not really gonna go into too much of that, but like, if you know, you know. I mean, it's common knowledge at this point now what's going on with that situation, but just like you see him crashing out, going through all of these different things. And mind you, this is all of the stuff that he's been going through in between albums. You know what I'm saying? I think even further back than that, further back to EA referencing, and then you get to the solemn middle part with like Mama I'm Sorry and All Alone and all of this stuff. Like, you get what I'm saying? Where it's just like, yo, I did the most. Like, I have to chill. Like, I'm going through all of this. Now I'm feeling the repercussions of my actions. Then into more somber songs like Patience and like Rehab and stuff. But then you have moments like Werewolf, CS and stuff like that there, where I feel like it's like almost like those withdrawals. Like, you're going into rehab or you're trying to change, but then it's like the old you trying to drag you back into like what you were before. And then it's like, yeah, it just ends on the end. Like, literally it sounds like an anime outro opening. So it's like, this is the end of the story. Like, you get what I'm saying? But just paying attention to that from start to finish is just like, it's really great. And I think he doesn't get enough credit for that, of like really trying to put together an album. You could argue maybe it's not the best, but for his counterparts in the era and the people that we classify him and compare him to, it's like, this is great. None of them are doing this, and not to this level with even the concept album and stuff. So I find myself like almost lamenting, like just like grieved when I see these conversations happening and just like people belittling him and acting like he's not him. You know what I'm saying? It's like, bro, it's still Uzi. He's always gonna have it. I really hope and pray Love is Rage 3 is great. If he retires after that, cool. If he doesn't, cool. Like, just whatever makes bro happy. He's done so much for music, it's not even funny. And just bridging the gaps of even like rap and pop and just like so much. He's just like this guy that's just like lovable. You get what I'm saying? He's just this bright energy. Like, he's had dark moments and lower points too that we can get into in controversy and stuff. But just overall, the image of Uzi, what he's portrayed to the people, traveling the world, taking pictures with fans and stuff like that. We don't get these kind of artists and these kind of human beings. And I feel like we should cherish them and appreciate them for what they are. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of people, especially in rap, it's a lot of jerk offs and people just trying to be too cool for school. Like Uzi, like, we have classic meme videos. And I don't know, it's my third day out here. Like, just dapping up little kids on the school bus eating the ice pop. Like, bro, it's like that's rare. Like I said, it's like him being himself. It seems cringe, but that's like the rawest stuff. It's just like he's real, like a real person, real human being. It's like, okay, he's odd or he's different, but it's like, aren't we all quirky? Are we all odd? You know what I'm saying? We put on masks and do different things to try to like fit in or like not stand out too much. You get what I'm saying? And so we don't get maybe what he's getting. Everyone gets persecuted. When you're yourself and who you're meant to be and like what God put in you, what you're supposed to be, it's like, it's persecution that comes with that. So it's like, we find it where it's like, a lot of people don't do that out of fear, but you know when the lights go off, you're in your room, you're doing something weird. You're just doing something weird. And I don't even mean that in a bad way, because it's like weird isn't always bad. There's different kinds of weirds. That's why I use the word quirky again. Like, you're being quirky, you're doing stuff that's outbursts, there's different things. Or when you're around certain friends or people or environments, you might act differently, and that's like the real you. But why not just be that all the time? It's because we care too much. We care too much about the people that's around us and the environment. It's like, bro, just be you, who you're meant to be. Like, through that, you'll find fulfillment. Because you're being what you're meant to be. And I think, like I said, that's the issue that Uzi is having right now, where it's like, yo, you're great and you're forgetting who you are and you're lost. And it might be a lot of stuff, because as you grow, you know what I'm saying? Like, right? Us as people, we grow and we go through things and we change. And like, maybe the most is like, we have maybe a teacher or parents or friends, maybe a family member, something, a neighbor. Those are the people that judge us. So it's not as many. But when you have millions of people, like the whole world watching you constantly, just debating, flacking you, like, it can be a lot, and you're in a process of changing and metamorphosizing as a human being. It can be a lot. You know what I'm saying? It could be a lot. And so I think that we should just give him his flowers. Like, let him breathe, appreciate him. Let's like not always focus on the negatives. Let's focus on what we like. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, get it. Like, he drops a project, mixed reviews. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you didn't like it, maybe you did like it, but like to just utterly discredit him and just even the conversations, I don't want to see at all. I probably still will, but the conversations of like, oh, this person's better, this person did this, or like, why do we ever think he was this, or why did we ever think Uzi did that? It's like, because he did. It's like, let's really go back. Like, people should really go back, study, look at his discography, look at the videos, the snippets, the funny moments, the rare legendary moments, the awards, everything he's done. You know what I'm saying? This guy was like what people quote unquote underground rapper, SoundCloud rapper. That's what I was gonna say, quote unquote, with like whatever. He was on tour with The Weeknd, running around with XO chains, and like he's not even signed to him. Man. God, The Weeknd in his music videos, peak Weeknd. You get what I'm saying? 2017, 2016, 2018 Weeknd, running around with him and stuff, posting him, boosting him before anybody. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is legendary. He signed to Don Cannon and DJ Drama. As much as they've done for the genre of like rap, hip hop, whatever you want to call it, it's a lot. Like, he needs to be respected. And it's like, even against the grain, when he came into it, everything he was on, everything that he did, like the stuff that we are calling normal now, or we're calling mid or good or great, or like whatever it is, he helped birth that. If not, took the lead and took flack for it too. But then excelled and succeeded and persevered. Like, Uzi's just excellent. Uzi is excellent. People even talk about black excellence and stuff like that. If you want to get into that, like, that's Uzi. Dude be dating black women, JT, Britney, all different types of stuff. Like, it's so many great things that we could say about Uzi. Like, it's like a lot of things that we be looking for other people to fill those roles. It's like, Uzi's that. He's really that. And even it's like, dude had the whole revolution of like in the hood and stuff like that. Like, just neighborhoods and stuff we grew up in. Like, you see like, alright, whatever, this is a trapper, bro. Like, he's wearing ripped skinny jeans and band tees, and everyone has like bags now and stuff like that. Like, it's like the Goyards. It may not be the Goyard, it might be a Supreme, or it might be something else, or a Nike bag, but stuff that's just like one strap. Is not a backpack or something. It's not a fanny's like over your shoulder, so like people might be like, oh, it's a purse, or it's this, or it's that. Like, shout out to Glock in my purse, but it's like he really did that, revolutionized the world, like had people trying to be different. Like, yo, it's okay for me to like this, it's okay for me to like that and do this and do that. Like, really this like young kid that came from like North Philadelphia really revolutionized everything. He's a hero. Like, on the East Coast, he's literally an icon. Across the world, he's an icon, and he did a lot, even for people like we look like him, you know? And he like paved the way and showed us like, yo, we could do anything we want to do. We could be anything we want to be. Like, that's great. Like, he should be heralded way more than what he is. The talk and the things around Uzi's name and Uzi right now is really disgusting. It's really, really not good. I don't agree with it. Love Uzi, wish him the best. If he retire, if he doesn't want to drop Love is Straight, that's fine. He doesn't even have to. Like, Pink Tape is cool, bro. There's great songs that I will continue to listen to, that I know a lot of people, even with the hate and stuff, will listen to, even if it's behind closed doors. Like, the hate has got to stop. Let's just move in love.